at you all the way from our dorm rooms to your conference rooms. Sabo, Lee, and Dan Tiemann here, two college students who are ready to talk to you guys about business and lifestyle from our personal experiences.
Each week we'll discuss about our lifestyle as college students as well as our tips and strategies starting in the business field. We'll bring on successful entrepreneurs in the millennial generation to share with us their journey and how they got started and where they're at now.
Our goal is to help you students, millennials, and entrepreneurs gain inspirational advice via our spontaneous conversations and meaningful guidance. Let's dive on in.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 14 of Dorm Rooms and Conference Rooms podcast. Guys, we have another special guest on here for you. But first, Saba, how are you today?
Doing good. So excited for our guest today. He has a really great story, so I'm so excited for him to share with us, with our audience today.
Guys, today our special guest is Chris Lowe. He's an inspiring videographer, photographer, and entrepreneur based out of West Des Moines, Iowa. He started his company, Situasian Films, to help promote others to be successful at their own business. He has worked with many different companies such as Audi, Volkswagen, Wolf Construction, the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, and Gigi's Playhouse. He's worked with so many more people too. He has taken his skills to create beautiful and effective content to help promote others. When not working on companies, Chris normally is shooting weddings throughout the year and does independent photo shoots. Chris, I know there's so much more that you do. Please just expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, so really excited to be on the show with you guys today. So over the past few years, I've worked with quite a few different companies. That is actually just a pretty compressed list of some of the people that I've worked with. Those are just some of the more iconic companies that I've worked with that are a little bit more recognizable, because obviously Audi and Volkswagen is a pretty big car companies. I don't know if you've heard of them at all.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wolf Construction is actually a local company here in Des Moines. They actually have quite a few different projects that they're involved with all over the Des Moines area and surrounding area. They actually recently contacted me to do some of their landing page videos, which was really cool, because I got a little bit of an in because a friend of mine works there. So I've had the great honor to work with them and be able to collaborate with them. And there's another big project coming out as well, which I'll probably, hopefully, in the next month or two, get out in at least somehow, as long as I can keep up with everything. I'm also involved with a lot of charities, so like the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, Gigi's Playhouse, and now actually I just picked up the Make-A-Wish Foundation as well. And so that way I can actually make their annual gala video as well. So they have a fundraising event every single year, and they have a highlight video of a family, and they have like an extra kind of fundraising time there. So I'm going to be creating the video for that. And then one last thing is I'm heavily involved with the Young Entrepreneur Convention, and actually that's how me and Saba met in the first place. Was because that Brandon T. Adams got a hold of me a while back. I think not last summer before that, and he came to me through a couple different friends and was like, "We really need you." And he actually refused to show me the original video. He's just like, it's just bad.
He still hasn't showed me it either. I'm like, Brandon, you need to show me it.
It's pretty painful, to say the least. I mean, the reason why that they had me along is because I create beautiful and effective content, and that is really what counts, especially if you're brand new to like getting anything started at all. I mean, that's something that I had to discover. Like, I seriously thought to not have anything, expect people to pay me for things, and I was like, well, that doesn't quite work. You got to have effective content for people to to actually look at and to actually understand that how it's going to add value to them. And that's exactly what I did for them. Originally they just wanted me to produce a video, and then I ended up getting involved as one of the co-founders, and we're actually gonna be bringing it back for a second year in April of this year, after having a pretty stellar turnout for a first event last year. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, awesome. So Chris, that's like a lot of the stuff you're doing right now. So take us back kind of before you started doing all of this with like Situasian Films and stuff like that. Like, where did you first like get started out?
So I did a lot of odd jobs. I'll actually take you all the way back to like when I graduated high school, or almost graduated high school. Well, I did, but I just barely did. It's somehow in some miracle I pulled out being in the top 25% of my class. But in all honesty, my parents thought I was not going to graduate, so I'm just not good in school, and that's gonna actually be relevant here in probably a couple minutes. But I worked a lot of odd jobs. I did sales for quite some time. Actually, that was kind of like my main gig. So like retail spaces. I actually did a lot of clothing. I actually did cars for a little bit. I sold knives. I mean, anything you can think of, I probably sold it, and I was pretty good at it. I worked manual labor jobs. I actually was a camp counselor for a while, which was awesome. It's just, and I thought about actually going into childcare and doing something with that, but it's just, unfortunately, there's just no money in it, and I didn't have enough motivation to do that. I mean, because money was the motivator for a long time, and that's how a lot of people kind of decide what they want to do. But I acquired a lot of skills kind of over the years since then. I actually, as a fun fact, I actually failed out of college. I know this is kind of a podcast for college students, and I'm not saying that you can. Oh, what I'm saying is you can still be successful if you don't end up making it. But right. I don't suggest just throwing it all away, because there's valuable skills you can learn in college, and there's a lot of valuable skills you can learn from a lot of the educators that they have especially like at Iowa State University. That's where Brandon came from, and it's a great university, even though I'm a Hawkeyes fan. I will give them props, because their entrepreneurship program that I've seen in the last couple of years has blown up, and it's amazing. Oh yeah, it has. It's amazing, and I'm really, really excited to see kind of what comes of that. Probably the turning point I remember when I first got started was that I just kept getting bored with a lot of jobs. Like, I would always do really, really well, and then I would get bored, and then I would either like quit or get fired, and so I kept jumping from job to job to job. And like, I was just like, well, why is this so difficult to find a good job? Like, I was even at in a retail space that I was making like $14 an hour, and this was like in 2009, and that's a really good wage for being at that time. And I was like, I'm still bored, and I'm making a lot of money, but I don't really get to do a lot of things. It just took up a lot of unnecessary time and stuff like that. And then after a while, I was kind of like, I started kind of fiddling around with videos and stuff like that all over again. I started making funny videos because obviously like Vine was coming out, and then you had like YouTube stars, starting to come to the forefront and everything like that. And I was like, and I kind of want to do that. I kind of want to make funny videos, and thought to myself, I was like, I can take these videos and I can make it better. And from there, actually my very first viral video was, it was like a ninja one. And it just was simple cut editing. And for those of you that don't understand what that means, basically you kind of chop up a really long scene into one shorter one, and then it kind of makes you look like you're jumping around and stuff like that. So it made it look like I was disappearing, appearing in different places. And like that first video, probably, I think it got, I didn't have analytics at the time, but I knew it went viral because I had random people coming up to me at the bar saying like, "You're the ninja guy." And I was like, what are you talking about? And they would pull it up on Facebook and be like, "You're him." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me. Weird." I was like, "I don't even know you." So that was actually pretty cool. And I was all like, wait a second, what if I just start making more videos? Like, what if I could do that, So actually, a fact that I did not explain before was that I used to take some YouTube videos, and I would actually download them and just edit them by myself just to see, how difficult it was. And I started to figure out like, hey, this is actually not hard to do, because sometimes when you look at like a certain product or something like that, and you kind of think to yourself you can make it better, like that's kind of what I saw in it. And then pretty soon I started producing my own work. So I had people reaching out to me saying, hey, what would you say about doing a video for my gym? Like actually my gym, 22nd Street Barbell, is what really got me the start, because my buddy Wes, who owns it, he's like, why don't you come down and make a video, and then we'll just see how it turns out. And it turned out awesome. And fun fact about that, I started off filming and editing all on my iPhone, and that was it. I actually did my first wedding on an iPhone. So that was kind of intense in general. From there, it's funny because I did my first few videos on an iPhone. I did a couple shoots with Mint LA and Rebecca Risbeck, and I did a couple more videos with 22nd Street Barbell, and then I had my friend Russell and Kylie reach out to me, and they wanted me to film their wedding, and I was like, I walk around with an iPhone, right? And they're like, yeah, we know. And so like I looked completely stupid doing it, but I had like this tiny little tripod. I had a lens kit and everything that I attached to my phone, and that's all I rolled with, and it turned out awesome. Like comparably to what I'm doing now, it's like way different, but the quality was actually pretty okay. And then I got contacted by another buddy, and I filmed his wedding, and I actually borrowed my first camera, which was a DSLR, and I actually made some money off of that, and then I was able to buy my own camera after that, and pretty much it just started rolling from there, because then I was able to start putting like content together and everything like that, and so people could actually see what I was doing, and then slowly I was able to actually put like an actual value to it and actually put a price to it, and then people were like, okay, yeah, I'll actually pay you for this service now.
Chris, that's pretty funny actually, how you've been using like an iPhone really is how you got started, and then you just kind of got everything going. I actually have a friend here at school who he's a camera guy. He does a lot of different things, does a lot of freelance work, and shoots different pictures for friends, and he actually works with a couple companies as well. But he does something different. He uses his GoPro. Now, if someone just getting started in industry, what would you suggest to him, or what would you really suggest to anyone else getting started in a videographer industry?
Shadow somebody. That's first. The only reason why I say that is because it's not to take away from the talent that he has. It's just that the videography like world is very complex and way more difficult and way more like complicated than I had originally thought. Because here's the thing: is that we have as a videographer, it's a very specialized service. And so you have to have very specialized skills, and so you have to have very specialized pricing. And a lot of people don't quite understand the value behind that. So getting together with somebody that actually knows the business and knows the industry and can actually let's put it this way. They also have to, like, the individual has to be willing to at least teach some things as well. Because the most difficult part I guess the biggest hurdle I had was because I didn't know anybody in the industry. So like I just kind of was like winging it the whole time until I finally got connected with a few people, and then it all started making sense. Because honestly, when you go into it, the cost of entry to this business is so high. I mean, think about just his GoPro. That's like $400 and $500, just to start doing that. That's why it made sense for me to like start filming on my iPhone, because if I have the eye for it, because actually I guess I didn't mention, I went to college for graphic design, so I was a creative type already, and I did some photography classes, stuff like that. So like I was already proficient with how the camera works and how to, like, what composition is and all that stuff, stuff that's actually relevant to shooting good video and stuff like that. But like the cost of entry, I want to go back to that. It's very high, and honestly, it's like the one thing that I wish I could have like figured out was that if I could have found myself like back like 3-4 years ago, like that would have helped immensely. And it was probably not until about 6 months to a year in, when I was panicking, that I was all like, I don't know what else I need. Like, I mean, I was watching a ton of YouTube videos, which is awesome because like it's basically free resources for you. Like I learned a lot of my stuff just from watching random YouTube channels. But I mean, if I were to be able to shadow an actual person, like that would have helped me way more, because you would have been able to actually apply a lot of these principles. Because when you're actually just watching these YouTube channels, you don't have anybody hands-on showing you how your specific camera works sometimes, or how to do certain editing things. It actually challenged me because like I had to go out of my full-time job and go do it on my own, like on my lunch break, or like early in the mornings before I go to work, or after work. So having someone there that knows what they're doing and can get hands-on with you is going to be probably the most beneficial, I guess, starting point that you can do. After that, pretty much it kind of rolls together. Once you figure out what kind of gear you need, and once you start figuring out like the different kind of cameras, lenses, and all that other stuff, just kind of falls into place from there.
Yeah, for sure. So, Carissa, when did you actually establish your company now, Situasian Films, and how long has it been since you've had that like established company?
Okay, so I quit my full-time job March of 2014, and I've been working for myself since then. And it was 6 months before that is when I actually kind of kicked everything off. That's when I was basically pretty deep into, or like, well, that's the one I kind of made the conscious decision that like I wanted to do it. So if anything, official start date would probably be March. I think it was, if I look back on the calendar, I think it was probably the very beginning of March, like the 3rd or 4th. Because I remember I was having a rough morning, and I walked in, and one of the other sales associates was just kind of going off, and I was like, I'm done. And I just quit. I literally quit on the spot, which, in fact, like right now, I'm telling you right now, unless you're fully committed, do not do that. Do not do that. So I would say October is when I kind of figured out, like, all right, or maybe September of like the year of 13, I kind of figured out, it's like, all right, I don't know if I want to keep doing all these odd jobs and jumping from job to job. And I was actually having some troubles with like the law, and actually at that point in time, I was actually, a few months before that, I was actually, for 4 months out of the year in 2013, I was actually homeless. So I was actually struggling pretty hard, and I was really trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life, because I just was like basically at rock bottom. And what's crazy is that people didn't really realize what was going on. They just knew that, you know, I was kind of like floating all over the place. But like in reality, I was like sleeping in my car, and I was like buying food whenever I could. It was a very interesting time, because I remember one night I was sleeping in my car in the parking lot of the Walmart nearby to my house, actually, from here. And I was just like, you got to figure this out, man. Like, you can't do this, you know. And then a buddy hit me up, and he said, you know, he's like, I got a room in my place, and it's like $200 a month. And I was like, I'll do it. And it just so happened it was right up the street from Gold's Gym too. So I was like, all right, perfect. So worked at Gold's, and then finally I said, see you later. And I mean, I think I worked there for like maybe 9 months. I think it worked there about 9 months, and then I was like, I'm out. And then I didn't turn my back. I mean, I burned I burned that bridge pretty hard, but you know, nice thing is that the general manager and I actually kind of rekindled our friendship later on. I think it was about a year later, and he kind of saw what was going on, and like, I'll always remember he's like, you needed to do that, you know. And that was kind of profound, because he, you know, for a while there, he was kind of a dick. I'm gonna be honest. Like I knew he wasn't happy about being there, and so like he kind of made our job hell at times, and he was pretty high strung. But he finally got a new job, and then I ran into him, and he's like, you needed to do that. And like, I couldn't agree more. Like, I needed to do that. Like, this was so much more than just wanting to do it, like, trying to, you know, make that step. It's like, I needed it for like my own well-being. Otherwise, you would see me in the psych ward.
Chris, so you walked out of your job on the spot, just walked out. When did you land those major clients like Audi and Volkswagen and the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation? How long did that take?
Oh man, that wasn't probably until like at least a year later. I mean, I put in a solid year and a handful of months just throwing content out all over the place and just building. Because, you know, here's the thing is that, you know, in the entrepreneurship world, it helps to know people. But if you don't actually have like a product to offer people, you're not really going to get very far, you know? I mean, imagine if I were to be, you know, presenting myself to JLD, which I just recently did a project with, and he actually has a Kickstarter out, and my video is showing on there, which is awesome. It's super exciting. But can you imagine, like, if I didn't have any work to show for, and I was all like, JLD, let me make your video, and you're just going to have to trust me on it. He's going to be like, absolutely not. Like, I don't even know who you are. Right. You're a nobody, you know? Like, you have to understand that you're going to have to be a nobody when you do this, when you first start off. Like, hey, do you know what really helped me? I have a really large social media following. I'm a nice guy. I'm just, you know, people like me. I think I'm funny, and, you know, I made like a couple like really funny videos, but then, you know, in the grand scheme of things, to make these high quality, like, videos, like, I didn't have anything. Like, I don't have anything to offer to anybody. So, like, I was a nobody. So it took me a solid year, at least, until I picked up that gig. And I remember my friend Julian was the one that hit me up and was like, hey, it's like, I'm shooting photos for Audi's grand opening. And I threw your name out there. Why don't you send me a quote, and I'll shoot it over to them. And I was like, holy crap, who? And I was like, Audi. I was like, Audi? Like, the car company? Like, I was like, no way. And he was like, well, it's the local dealership, but like, I mean, they got like, obviously they're connected with the larger conglomerate. So I was all like, yeah. And I had no idea what to charge him. I'm going to be honest. Like, I was freaking out. I was like, what if I charge too much? What if I charge too little? Like, I don't know, And so that was the other thing about, knowing people in the industry. Cause like, you honestly, like, with a specialized service, you don't know how to price it. Like, now, obviously I know, but back then I was kind of like freaking out. I was like, I want this gig. And I remember being so nervous, and they finally came back with like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll have a check ready for you when you show up. And I was like, hell yeah. And they're connected with the VW dealership as well. And so that's how I got connected with that. And then if they need any more videos, they said they'll make sure to contact me, because I've already done a few with them. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, if that all makes sense.
Chris, that's a great story on Audi, and how you really didn't know what to quote them at first, and they accepted it. That's just awesome. And pretty much until you started doing the Audi stuff and doing bigger retailers of different things, what kind of content were you doing in the meantime before you could land the Audis and Volkswagens of the world?
Yeah, so I actually I kept on playing around with. Well, the cool thing is that I was putting out gym videos, right? So every Saturday we used to have a team training time at 22nd Street Barbell, and so like we would have like probably 8 to 15 people down there at any given time during that time frame, like around like 7 to like noon, and I just stuck around. And I started filming, and I started putting together these training videos. And they were awesome. They were really fun. Like, people were looking at them like, oh, like they're just seeing it. Like, I was actually helping promote our gym, and we were putting it on YouTube and everything like that. I wasn't actually doing anything personally. I was just creating that content, and then I just started posting on YouTube and started posting on my Facebook and everything like that. And people were starting to get a little bit intrigued, because they're just like, hey, the video quality is really cool, stuff like that. That first year as well, I shot those 2 weddings too. Like, I shot the one from the iPhone wedding, and then I shot the second wedding, and you could see like a noticeable difference in quality, obviously, coming from one camera to the other. But yeah, like if you were to go back, let's say on my YouTube channel, actually I'm really terrible at updating my content right now, because like I have so much going on now. But if you were to go to my channel now, you can see the progression of my videos, and you can see exactly what was going on, because I was posting pretty consistently. Like, if I go back, let me see here. I did. Oh, okay. So, and then besides those videos, besides the training videos, I worked with Mint LA, and I did a couple like editorial shoots with them, and then I also worked with athletes. So I worked with just individuals for powerlifting meets and like workout videos and stuff like you see like on Instagram those fitness models and stuff like that, right? Like,
yeah, that's like, actually my roommate.
Yeah.
He actually is affiliate with a
yeah. So that's what I did. I did like Mint LA behind the scenes shoot. I actually, when I first got my GoPro, like I went around and I started cruising around town. I put a video together for that. I went to numerous powerlifting meets to just like put something together, and I worked with athletes, and then from there, people just started like reaching out, like, hey, can you help me edit this, and like, what do you think about doing this? So there's actually a lot of like content that's floating around that I've done in the past that is not advertised as my own, but for like that specific company, like Aerial Expo was one of them. I did that was actually the following year. So Aerial Expo, then it started, and then I did a virtual tour, 22nd Street Barbell, and then I ended up doing another wedding, and I guess I don't have Audi on here. I don't know. Oh, okay, so I did another wedding before Audi as well. So I did like 3 weddings, lots and lots of different random, athletes and powerlifting meets and stuff like that. And it's crazy to think, because like then I started getting to charity work. Then I did the Midcoast Road Rally. That's charity as well. And then some fight companies like the Ascendancy Fighting Championship got a hold of me, so I did a highlight reel for them. And so that whole process, it was just building, like just creating more and more content as we went along. And you can see the progression on there, and especially in quality as well too.
That's awesome. So like everything that you've been doing, how do you keep consistent on like just keep pushing forward? Like what is your main why that really wakes you up in the morning to keep doing what you do, Chris?
Well, you know, the thing that really kind of drives it home for me is that, you know, I have an amazing opportunity in front of me all the time. I get to wake up every single day. I don't have to go to a job that I don't like. I don't have to do that stupid commute on the freeway and get super pissed off and lose my mind, you know, because I'm stuck behind a Prius that's going 45 and a 65. You know, like I remember the very specific things that I hated about going to work. That being one of them, traffic, showing up to an office full of people that just hated their lives. You know, they were spiteful, and the only reason why they were there was because it was consistent for them and it was comfortable. Like, you hear a lot of people that go in the 9 to 5, and the only reason why they stay is because they need that paycheck every 2 weeks. You know, like that term living paycheck to paycheck. It's like, that's so real. Like, people legitimately just live paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. They don't really have any real ambition. They don't have any real drive to do anything more than just live paycheck to paycheck. Like, in the business that I was in for a long time, I was in the bar industry as well. I did bartending, I did bar backing, I did VIP and all that stuff. A lot of the people that you see that you think have it all together, the ones that are like Wells Fargo, like, I don't mean to bash Wells Fargo, Nationwide, or anything like that, but since here as a hub in Des Moines for like Wells Fargo, Nationwide, all that stuff, you get like the vast majority works for them, right? And who do you see at the bars? All of them. Because all they do is they work, hate what they're doing, and then they go drink their life away on the weekends because they hate what they do. And I'm just like, that is such a disgusting cycle, and I don't want to do that. So when I think about that I get to wake up every single day, I got to fire up my computer. One of the hardest decisions I usually make is if I want to put on real pants or if I have to leave the house. Like, I'm dead serious. And for you guys, I put on real pants. So, because I thought, but like, I get to wake up every day, and I had the opportunity to kind of capitalize on a skill that I have, a very, very specialized, set of skills that I was able to turn into something that makes me money. And the thing is that it's something that I love to do as well. You know, what makes it worth it is not necessarily the money. What makes it worth it is when I get to hear the client or the customer, like, you know, personally shoot me a text and say, you know, especially like a wedding client the other day said, I just watched the video and I couldn't even imagine my day without you. And like, that right there speaks so much to me, you know? Like, I actually finally get to actually relate to people and create relationships and be on an intimate level with a lot of these clients, whereas before it was just like, I'm being represented by so-and-so, like I'm representing so-and-so or somebody else. Like, now it's like, Situasian Films was built from the ground up. That's me. That's my baby, you know? And I get to be directly connected to all that success, and also I'm responsible for all that failure as well. And like, that kind of accountability that I have each day is what helps me keep going each day. Is like, I get to keep doing what I'm doing, and I do it because I love it, and like, you know, I'm not spiteful of it at all. And that's the problem that I see with a lot of people these days that just work, you know, on the 9 to 5 and everything like that.
Chris, that's some great stuff right there. Definitely dropping some massive value bombs to my audience right now. And just bringing it all back in right now. Chris, what's a quote that you just absolutely love that you read on a daily basis or an every other day basis? What's just a great quote that you like?
Oh, man. There was, one of my favorite ones is the richest place on earth is the graveyard. Because there's so many ideas that would never came to fruition because they were never, I'm paraphrasing at this point because now I can't remember it. But it's actually, what did it say? the richest place on the planet Earth is the graveyard. And because so many ideas never came to be. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, whenever I hear that, it's like there are so many people, so many ideas that were existent at one point in time that never came into existence because someone didn't pull the trigger. You know, somebody decided not to execute. Someone thought it was a stupid idea. Somebody thought that, oh, it's not good enough. And I think about that, and it's obscure, and the way that I think is just that, like, I'm not going to be that guy. You know, I'm not going to be that individual that goes to the grave regretting, like, I didn't, like, pull the trigger on something. You know, that, you know, I don't want to let my own insecurities and everything like that keep me from being able to be successful or follow through with an idea. Because I would much rather go through and fail with an idea, a product idea, or whatever it may be, and fail and tell myself, you know, you gave it a good go, rather than regretting not doing it all.
Yeah, no, definitely. I love that you said that. But like, from everything that you've done, from everything that you've shared with us today, what's like one main advice that you want to share with us to like our college entrepreneurs who are just starting out right now?
Stick with it. Perseverance is a beautiful thing. Like, I always say, don't give up, because honestly, like, you see a lot of the successes in entrepreneurship, like a ton of it. You know, people believe that like it just happens overnight. You know, like, actually, it's funny because me and Brandon talk about that a lot. And I actually put his. Have you seen that overnight success video, right?
Yeah,
So
that was awesome.
Yeah, so we actually worked on that together. We put that together in my kitchen, which is funny. We actually spent like 5 hours, I think, that day in my kitchen, filming random stuff and getting all of his like quotes together and stuff, or all of his like audio together and stuff like that. So what's really cool is that, you know, the one thing that I can say is just don't give up, because like there's going to be a lot of hard times. Like, I remember my first like couple months in, I was freaking out, you know, like I was just like, I don't have anything to offer to people right now. So like, what do I do? You know? And then even now, like sometimes I'm kind of like, crap, like how do I keep scaling? How do I keep getting bigger? How do I keep getting better? You know? And sometimes you like, I mean, and also sometimes there's thoughts that, you know, I was like, what if I just quit now? And what if I just go back to the corporate job? You know, there's a lot of what ifs and everything like that. But, you know, I always keep telling myself, like, don't give up now. It's like, you put on all this work. Why would you give it up all now? You know? And so perseverance, just don't give up. Like, I mean, right now in the age group that, like, if I remember when I was 18, like, if any of you guys out there that are 18, 19, 20 years old and you're doing what I'm doing right now, or being an entrepreneur, you are ahead of the game. Like, you should be proud of what you're doing right now. But also be aware that it will take a lot out of you. Like, it will beat you down and then pick you right back up again. It's a weird cycle, but I mean, in the end, it's all worth it. So like, just don't give it up, you know.
Chris, it's really been a pleasure having you on today. Can you tell our audience where they can find you at and how they can learn more about you?
Yeah, so I have a website, www.situasianfilms.com, and then also I'm on Facebook and Instagram. A lot of my content goes up on my Instagram and my Facebook right now because it's a lot easier format, and I can tell you one thing, it's very, very effective if you're not doing that already. And a lot of my full length videos go on my Facebook page, on my business page. So let me see, is there anything else? Oh, and then my YouTube channel once I get that updated as well.
Chris, it was great having you on. I learned so much today. I know our audience learned so much as well today. And it was great hearing your story, you know, going from not having anything to now having this really great videography business. And guys, we will have Situasianfilms.com in our bio so you guys can find that. And we will have links as well to Chris's Instagram and Facebook. Guys, we're still bringing to you as well as our Facebook community where we put college entrepreneurs combined with experts in different fields, where we give you guys feedback and where we help you grow your businesses. You can find that at livetogrind.com/college. You can find Saba Ali at sabaali.com. You can find myself at danielteeman.com. Saba, any last words?
Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. Guys, definitely check out some of his videos. They're pretty awesome. But thank you all for joining us today on Dorm Rooms to Conference Rooms.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a good day.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Dorm Rooms and Conference Rooms. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you haven't joined our accelerator program yet, you can find that at livetogrind.com/college, where we connect you with today's latest influencers and experts in their fields.